Hi, I'd like to welcome Jennifer Uribe, who's here to talk to us about the translation initiative that's happening here at MDRC. So first, can you tell us a little bit about the history and the goal of the initiative?
Yeah. So the translation initiative started in 2010 by the Diversity Council. So the people who were on that council found that translation was like really a need across the organization. So they did some internal research to figure out like how different policy areas dealt with that need. And so from that they developed a memo and they saw that there were some improvements that we could make in terms of that department. And so our goal with the translation initiative is to really have projects anticipate need, and we really want projects to understand that translating materials to different languages is just as important as the amount of work that goes into the English materials. They need to be just as rigorous, they need to be just as vetted in order to provide us with the information that we need to receive and also to best serve our population on the ground.
So why is it so important for us to put effort into translating all this effort that you're talking about?
Yeah. So Spanish is the most common first language in the United States. And as of 2013, the highest concentration of limited English proficient individuals were found in 6 traditional immigration states, which are California, Texas, Florida, and New Jersey. And also, the limited English proficient population was less educated and more likely to live in poverty. And these states and these people are a lot of the people that we're working with. So it's really important that we put enough effort in our language translation in order for internal validity, creating knowledge of the population, the informed consent process, reducing cognitive burden for participants so that they know what they're consenting into, and then also for the IRB purposes and branding recognition, because the bigger that our studies get, the more that we want to be able to be salient within people's minds so they can engage in our evaluations and our studies.
So if I wanted to translate something in-house, what process is involved in making that happen?
What a great question. So the industry has shifted towards using consensus translation, and our goal is that MDRC can also shift towards that practice as well. So what consensus translation is that one person would translate the document. The second person would review the first person's translation. The second person and the first person would eventually meet and talk through the nuances and the discrepancies that they found in each other's translations. Then they would compile, one document, and that would be the document that is pre-tested and eventually finalized to be used. And so this group approach is definitely much better at figuring out what does one term mean to one person and what does it mean in another context, because that's the way we speak English and that's the way that we move through the world. So consensus translation is just the best approach. In terms of outsourcing translation, we've also developed a specs document, and that document really asks about target audience, where is it, for who is it, what is the project about, and what is the theory of change. And so we hope that this document can be shared with translation firms so that they can have better context as to what our end product should be. And once we receive their translation, MDRC would review it, and we hopefully offer feedback back to the translation firm so that eventually we can get closer and closer to the type of end products that we want to receive from translation firms.
So how do I get information about if I wanted to move forward with translation efforts?
So right now, you can always email me, Jennifer Uribe at MDRC, and I have a template that I always send out to people about questions to consider, and also the specs guidelines. A lot of these documents are all on our Diversity Council drive, and I'm working with Brad Petrie and Hannah Wagner, Health and Barriers, to upload those to SharePoint so they can be widely disseminated across MDRC.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share all your knowledge and your efforts. This is a really exciting initiative.
So excited to be at MDRC.